This Aries new moon is very special. It has an energy of multidimensional rebirth, I've called it. And part of it is that we're now, as a species, ready to be connecting beyond our sense of our separate self. And what that requires may be that parts of our egos that are keeping us in a sense of separation are actually evolving. And it may be sounding kind of far-fetched, but it's a collective evolution. It's a milestone. It feels like a milestone on humanity's evolutionary path. And it's because the Andromeda galaxy also speaks to the ability to expand beyond our own galaxy. And symbolically, that is a huge expansion. And we'll talk a little bit more about our own galaxy's relationship with Andromeda galaxy as we go deeper into this video. Welcome to New Light Living podcast. I'm Ulrika Sullivan. I'm an intuitive spiritual life coach and a galactic astrologer. This video is a galactic astrology reading of the Aries new moon at 27 degrees 29 minutes on April 17th, 2026. Welcome. What I do in these videos, I put an outer layer of fixed star celestial bodies and galactic points to the traditional Western tropical astrology wheel. And that is to help us all to expand into a multidimensional perspective. Here, what you'll receive are 3 energetic themes that I've pulled out from the new moon chart. And also at the end, a couple of questions should you want to integrate this new moon in Aries energy some more. I also invite you to hype this video, like it, and subscribe, of course. And if you're not familiar with hyping, you swipe the comments field before you expand it, and there you can push a little button to give this video some points, and it will hopefully spread to more people seeing this video. So thank you for doing that. And also thank you for being here, visiting me for each new moon, full moon, and watching my videos. I truly appreciate you. There is so much going on, and also especially when we add the galactic, the multidimensional layer to the astrology. So enjoy this video together with me. Are you curious about your own galactic alignments? Download my Galactic Alignments reference guide. There's a link in the pinned comment and description box below. And at the end of the video, I will also talk more about the workshop that I'm hosting on April 17th, which is on the day of this Aries new moon. And it's a workshop in co-creating with your guides and the universe that I'm putting on. The Aries new moon at 27 degrees is conjunct our sister galaxy, the Andromeda galaxy M31 at 28 degrees of Aries. And also we have a conjunction with the dwarf planet Chiron at 26 degrees of Aries. So this is a powerful, powerful combination that we're going to dive deeper with in energetic theme 1 coming up. The ruler of this new moon is Mars, and Mars is now in Aries at 5 degrees 57 minutes, in opposition with the galactic point, the supergalactic center at 2 degrees of Libra. This is also a very powerful opposition that we're going to talk more about in energetic theme 2 coming up. And also the significant theme of Uranus entering Gemini, conjunct the Pleiades star cluster on April 25th. This new moon is clearly a preparation for that. And we're going to dive deep into, there's so much going on around the point of 0 degree of Gemini. And we're going to talk about that both in energetic theme 3, but also dive much deeper in the members only video, Pleiadian co-creation 2. Because we had Uranus at 0 degree of Gemini back in July 2025. And we are now doing a second go around of this energy and building on it. And it also is that sense of that humanity is now ready to seek the next level of evolution, in the sense that we are, as individuals, now moving towards connecting more with our true self, which I call the multidimensional self, or our true nature. because we are also in that space finding a inner peace, even though the external world likely are showing deep signs of disruption and chaos. And this is for many a new experience to find that inner peace, even though the environment is very much in turmoil. And in many ways, that is a new experience for humanity. And because in the midst of all of this, there is a sense of innovation and initiation of that next level of evolution. And it has to happen sometimes through chaos. Innovation happens when there's a creativity involved, where something new is created that wasn't expected, because turmoil and disruption and chaos can sometimes help in that process by supporting us all to question what we're doing, the decisions we're making, whether they are serving us, whether they are serving more harmony or disruption. And that is what's happening at multiple levels now, not only at the individual level, but also at the collective level. So at this Aries new moon, it's a very special energy of evolution, innovation, and taking steps forward, while there is also a new discovery within ourselves of an inner peace, an inner calm that is present, that we all can connect with, irrespective of what goes on outside us. And that inner calm is where we all connect. And that may be a big concept, but the underlying background frequency is very much one of harmony. And right now, there are more and more souls that are connecting with that common denominator of peace and inner calm and universal wisdom. And that is also the connection with the Andromeda galaxy at this new moon in Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac, which sometimes are described as seeing something through the eyes of a child. It's the very first sense of a new beginning. And this Aries new moon feels like this first step on a very new journey, a new sense of being a multidimensional being and what that all means for us as individuals, but also as a collective with that perspective. Before we go into the new moon chart, I'd like to share what the energetic themes are. The first theme is multidimensional rebirth. And here we're going to talk about the new moon, of course, Andromeda Galaxy M31. We're going to talk about Chiron and Eris. Eris and Chiron are both in the vicinity of the new moon here. We know that Chiron and Eris have been playing a big role in paving the way for this day, this 27 degrees of Aries point, because both Chiron and Aries have been around here for quite a while, paving the way for this new moon. We also have a grand fire trine that we're going to talk about in energetic theme 1 as well. In energetic theme 2, that I called Future Human Explained. In this theme, we're focusing on the ruler Mars, because Mars is conjunct asteroid Hathor. And also we have that powerful opposition to supergalactic center. And we're also going to talk about the fixed star Alpha Reticulum as part of theme 2. The third theme I've called Liberation of the Heart. And here we're going to dive deeper into Uranus ingress to Gemini, conjunct the Pleiades star cluster. And in this theme, there's a lot going on. So I decided to kind of put the overall review of this theme in the main video, and then we'll dive much deeper in the members only video, because there's so much going on, as you will see. And we're going to talk about Uranus entry to Gemini, of course, conjunct the Pleiades star cluster, but also a mystic rectangle that is very interesting. A mystic rectangle also that builds 2 yods. So what you'll see if you're staying with me all the way to energetic theme 3 is a very intricate energy pattern. And we are going to dive into that in depth. And also the extension will be the Pleiadian co-creation episode 2. That will be the members only video. All right, let's dive into the Aries new moon chart next. So here we have the Aries new moon chart, and you can see the sun and the moon are together there at 27 degrees, 29 minutes of Aries. And it almost looks like the sun and the moon are in Taurus, but there's so much going on here in Aries. So what we really look at is the last degrees of Aries there. Don't get confused with all the glyphs there because they just don't have space for everything be placed in Aries. And what's pointed out here is the conjunction to the Andromeda galaxy at 28 degrees of Aries. And I also want to highlight here the ruler Mars now in Aries, also at 5 degrees, conjunct asteroid Hathor. And we're going to talk more about that in a second here at 5 degrees of Aries as well. So the Andromeda galaxy at 28 degrees of Aries is a powerful reminder that we are not alone, because the Andromeda galaxy is the sister galaxy to the Milky Way galaxy that we belong to. But the Andromeda galaxy is part of the Andromeda constellation, as you can see here on the star map, because Pegasus sheet that we've talked about quite a lot at 29 degrees of Pisces is also part of the Great Square here. The role of the Andromeda galaxy, when I look into soul journey aspects and connections with this energy, it often is attributed to soul travel. And soul travel can be also through portals like the Andromeda galaxy. And it's a connection to other galaxies beyond our own vicinity here in the universe. The Andromeda galaxy is also an expression of the divine feminine, as opposed to the Milky Way, which is sometimes spoken of like the divine masculine. The Andromeda galaxy is associated with this new beginnings energy, but also a natural divine feminine energy, more of as a magnet, if you will. That type of energy that draws you in is very much the archetypal energy of the Andromeda galaxy. And the Andromeda galaxy also is an expression of beauty. And we'll talk more about this in energetic theme shortly here. But I wanted to show you that beautiful image of Andromeda galaxy taken by the Hubble scope here. What great way of tuning into the Andromeda galaxy image here as we kick off this video. And surrounding the new moon here, we also have Chiron and we have Eris. And we're going to talk more about Chiron and Eris and their relationship with the Andromeda galaxy here in Energetic Theme 1. So stay tuned. Let's dive into the Energetic Theme 1, Multidimensional Rebirth, next. So here we have the first energetic theme that I called Multidimensional Rebirth. And we're going to focus on the new moon here and everything that's surrounding the new moon in the chart, which is Eris, Chiron. Eris is at 25 degrees of Aries, and Chiron is at 26 degrees of Aries. And as I mentioned in the introduction, both Eris and Chiron are archetypal energies of evolution. It's also archetypal energy that brings some sort of journey with it. Both Chiron and Eris as archetypal energies associated with this new moon particularly brings with them some sort of journey, and a journey that is not always as smooth. As we know, Eris is associated with disruption, for example, and Chiron has a pain and Chiron comes with this pain point that often is pointed out very much through the dark night of the soul type of energy. And with all of this conjunct Andromeda galaxy now, it is a magnitude that is suggested here in the chart that it's evolutionary. So humanity's evolution is really highlighted at this Aries new moon, and we are taking steps towards significant expansion. And it's also linked into what's going on there with Uranus that we're going to get to, of course, in this video. We also have a square to Canis Minor Procyon. And the fixed star Procyon comes with innovation. Innovation to new, what I call often, new spiritual technology. And we may expand that term with new evolutionary technology, not only from what we know as technology, but also linked into us as a species. For example, new technology when it comes to understanding of how we are linked to the universe and also our role in being a vessel for universal wisdom in physical form. For example, so a square to Canis Minor Procyon here in Cancer. Cancer is the most intuitive sign, and it speaks to our intuitive, empathic body. So this square is an invitation to expand into becoming more of a multidimensional being. And what that means is to be able to also work with universal wisdom, universal understanding of things, also expanding our perspective of what we are able to do, what we're capable of doing at this time. And in simplified terms, this is a signature square of a consciousness leap, a leap of faith into a perspective that will serve the future. And we'll get into more of that future human energy and energetic theme too. But this square is a signature square, in my opinion, about a quantum leap of consciousness. And Canis Minor is at 26 degrees of Cancer. And Jupiter, as we know, is on his journey towards Leo and will pass Canis Minor Procyon. And Jupiter will be conjunct 26 degrees of Cancer, Canis Minor Procyon, mid-November this year, early December timeframe. So this is also a reminder that this Aries new moon is pointing out the opportunity for a quantum leap. So when Jupiter hits the 26 degree of Cancer point where Canis Minor Procyon is, mid-November, early December this year, we will be in a energy of significant expansion of consciousness. There's also a grand fire trine going on because we also have a trine from the new moon, Eris and Chiron there to Hydra Alphard at 27 degrees of Leo. And this is a fire sign to fire sign trine, of course. So this is where this life force, this Kundalini energy is fired up with this trine here. And also because we also have a trine to the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. So this new moon in Aries is highlighting this energy signature of that trine between galactic center and Hydra Alphard, and also coming into play here with the Chiron and Eris at the same time. And this activation of fire element is also a signature of a new beginning, something of a quantum leap. And I want to highlight also Eris and Chiron, because Eris and Chiron have been here in the vicinity of these degrees in the chart, interacting with each other for quite a while. And this is also the signature of going on a journey that may not be as easy, but we are also finding our way through, finding our unique solution or answer through going through some challenges. And Eris, as we know, I inserted her orbit here, is sometimes a description of her willingness to go outside the comfort zone to experience things, because she is associated with disruption and discord. And if we relate her archetypal energy to our human journey, it may be that to be able to evolve, we will have to consider going outside our comfort zone, just like Eris does here in the universe. And Eris is one of the dwarf planets that are orbiting the furthest out 560-year cycle. And that energy coupled to Chiron, which is a journey of healing ultimately, is also giving us the hope that what we're going through is also for the betterment, for the good of all that potentiality that we are carrying as a human being. So this Aries new moon highlighting both Eris and Chiron here is a significant attribution to the evolutionary leap and rebirth that is imminent here. Chiron is always on his journey. And if you look at the image here of Chiron, I chose an image of a bridge. And Chiron is sitting there reflecting on his journey and what the lessons are that he's learned. And perhaps by going outside the comfort zone, using that Eris energy to really expand. And that is also advice for us at this time, that we have to be a little bit rebellious and be willing to go outside our comfort zone while reflecting on our journey so far and what the lessons are that we have learned so that we can continue over that bridge. So yes, this new moon is really a piece of guidance as well. And also to loop back with the importance of Andromeda galaxy and the polarity that is in existence between our own galaxy here, Milky Way galaxy, and Andromeda galaxy, the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And it's said that this is also functioning like a magnet. And these two galaxies, M31 and Milky Way, is on their way to collide, which is also an expression of union and coming into oneness. So we can also see that our human journey might reflect this journey that the galaxies are taking, particularly the Milky Way and the Andromeda galaxy. And that in itself may be a description also where we are at as humanity in terms of coming into wholeness and oneness within ourselves, but also universally. So yes, this Aries new moon is highly significant, and it almost feels like a step forward in our own expansion, both individually and collectively. So think about, what is it in your life right now that is about to expand? And it can be something very tangible, but it can also be a new perspective on something or a new understanding that you have about how you fit in this universe. And this is a significant time to also reflect upon your journey, like Chiron does there, because now is a opportunity to truly open up some new doors. And we all will have a rebirth in some way or form around this time and moving forward. All right, are you ready for the next energetic theme? Future Human Explained next. So here we have the second energetic theme, Future Human Explained. And here we're going to focus on the ruler of this new moon, which is Mars at 5 degrees 58 minutes here in this chart in Aries, conjunct asteroid Hathor at 5 degrees 5 minutes in Aries, and in opposition with the galactic point, supergalactic center at 2 degrees of Libra. So Mars, it will have a significant role here as he moves through Aries, because he is in his home sign. He is having a ball here, and he is now ready after some time in Pisces to come to action. So whenever Mars is activating or being part of a significant energy here, we will feel it both personally and collectively. And if we are taking a bigger look at the interactions that Mars is having at this particular new moon, Mars is considered conjunct not only Mercury at 3 degrees of Aries, but also Neptune at 2 degrees of Aries and Saturn at 7 degrees of Aries. So there's a significant cluster of very, very powerful energy. And all of them are technically in opposition with the supergalactic center. And that also places a significant role of magnitude on the supergalactic center. And we'll talk more about the supergalactic center shortly here. But I want to start with asteroid Hathor. And there's always a reason that an asteroid shows up when a planet has a significant role. And in this case, asteroid Hathor is really highlighting the potential for our evolution and the activation of humanity's highest potential. Because Hathor conjunct Mars here is giving us guidance on what really to focus on and what we may need to take action on, or what it would be favorable for us to take action on. And if you're familiar with Hathor, she is a goddess of beauty, with fertility, with music, joy, pleasure, all of that. And that coupled with Mars really speaks to that we are invited to take action on our creative passions. That is some significant guidance that we are provided with here at this Aries new moon. Hathor is also known for having strong boundaries. So that is also guidance for us now to stand up, take a stance for something, or say yes, no, and allow those boundaries to provide us with more security and protection. And in that space, Hathor is also giving guidance that it's part of this future human being and energy is to be gentle, to be having compassion. And part of the guidance here too is that while we're taking action, it's not from a place of agitation or force. Hathor has the influence on Mars here to be firm, have boundaries, but also to see it with compassion and to see that true strength is really happening when we feel that inner calm, inner peace, and therefore can be gentle with the situation, but still stand firm. So Hathor has a significant message for us here. Now, if we move to Mercury and Neptune here, Mercury and Neptune conjunct Mars and Hathor really shows that Neptune and Mercury brings the spiritual communication, if you will, into a different layer of understanding, a different realm. So the insights from all of this comes through the universal realm, not so necessarily through the physical realm. And the guidance that Neptune and Mercury are giving is really the early degrees of Aries, which is through our inner child or most innocent parts of ourselves that we have access to. So this is also a significant energy signature, I should say, of how we are invited to step into this consciousness expansion. And lastly, highlighted here is Saturn at 7 degrees of Aries, conjunct Alpha Reticulum at 7 degrees of Aries. This is a significant conjunction to the fixed star Alpha Reticulum because I many times assign Alpha Reticulum to future energy. That represents the energy signature that we're moving towards as a human species. And Saturn conjunct Alpha Reticulum is a powerful gatekeeping energy. Saturn is here to teach us all about this future energy that we are now accessing. And also, of course, Mars, Mercury, and Neptune will eventually also be conjunct Alpha Reticulum. But Saturn is here to say, okay, it's ready to go, and to also see who is ready for this and who is not. And that is a description at the soul level, of course. But Saturn, in his kind of gatekeeping role many times, is also the judge for the next evolutionary step. This is a significant tap in to future energy, in my opinion. And we also have significant support for this connection, which is Pluto's conjunction here with Juno at 5 and 4 degrees of Aquarius in a very distinctive sextile between the signs of Aquarius and Aries. And the sign of Aquarius is also very much a futuristic energy, but Pluto conjunct Juno here is also a commitment, a new commitment to open up the accessibility to this energy. And the sextile is very supportive. It's Pluto and Juno really saying, okay, we can go now and make this energy available to explore. And also Pluto conjunct Juno is that commitment and the supportive sextile here to the ruling planet of this new moon, Mars, with all the things that are going around Mars, is a very supportive evolutionary leap that we are now getting access to, opening up to that futuristic energy that is part of our evolution. And I would also say that all of this is happening in the first decan of the sign of Aries and sign of Aquarius. So I wouldn't be surprised that for some, there may be physical evidence of this new commitment or new connection or expansion that is happening. And it may be as simple as someone who is committing to a spiritual practice deeper than before and are starting to have more consistent new experiences with interacting with the universe, for example, or spirit guides. And here we have the supergalactic center at 2 degrees of Libra. And I many times speak of the supergalactic center as a mirror, because supergalactic center in the sign of Libra is very much a mirror because of our own reflection in others. Libra is the opposite sign to the sign of Aries. So Aries is the self, Libra is the other. And supergalactic center is a great mirror highlighting and amplifying the relationship between ourselves and others. So tune into the supergalactic center here and tune into Hathor here. She is valuing creative pleasure, beauty, and fertility and love. So all those descriptions are also part of the guidance that we're tapping into now as part of the future human expression. And here is a very faint image of Alpha Reticulum. It's that little skewed square in the middle here where I've tried to point it out there, but Alpha Reticulum is very small constellation, but we also have Uranus Arcanar there as an anchor in terms of where this constellation is on this in the sky map. So yes, this energetic theme I'm very excited about because Alpha Reticulum as an archetypal energy is very futuristic, and with that cluster of activation around Alpha Reticulum now, with Saturn conjunct Mars coming there soon, Mercury, Neptune, it's an activation of future expression that we are now ready to take action on, with all the personal planets here being so active in the month of April, and particularly Mercury and Mars here. It's a sense of taking action on something that has been planned for a long time that is now ready to take expression. And this can be a sense within ourselves that we're getting into new creative expressions. It can be also that we're receiving new perspectives and new messages around how we want to step into our next chapter. So this is very much hands-on, I feel, with the personal planets. And also Saturn and Neptune around the early degrees of Aries as well is very much supporting us to bring it into reality. So what is that commitment to transformation that you are standing in front of? And this might be something you want to sit and contemplate and create something around, either in physical form or writing it down. All right, are you ready for the third energetic theme that I've called Liberation of the Heart? And here we are going to talk about also Uranus entry to Gemini, conjunct the Pleiades star cluster. So here we have the third energetic theme that I've called Liberation of the Heart. And here we're going to focus on Uranus entry to Gemini, conjunct the Pleiades star cluster, of course. I have decided to spin out some of the content of this third theme into the members only video because it's so much going on and I want to share what I see with you. So let's begin. So first, what you'll notice is this T-square with asteroid Astraea at 29 degrees of Aquarius. And that point I would consider as a culmination of the Aquarian energy. And when I see something at 29 degrees of Aquarius, it means something for sure. And in this case, it's right in square with Uranus there at 29 degrees 33 minutes here, preparing just another couple of days before we hit 0 degree of Gemini. So this is important. 29 degrees of Aquarius is a signature of the most evolved energy if we take it into the Aquarian age. Asteroid Astraea comes with an archetypal energy of the purest self, the highest standards that you can bring. And Astraea stands for that highest ideal of harmony. And at 29 degrees here, she's highlighting to us what it really takes to be a human of the Aquarian age. And in opposition here, she is in opposition with Leo Regulus, which is at 0 degree of Virgo, standing for the heart of the lion. It's the heart-centered being. So that T-square with Uranus and Sedna, of course, also, and Pleiades, is really a expanding suggestion to us. And it's almost like a future showing of what it takes to live in the Aquarian age or to those ideals. So this is some guidance for us also stepping into that quantum leap. So this square between Astraea and Uranus really is, I feel, a kind of a little bit of a tug of war between higher standards, but also that urge to go outside the comfort zone. Uranus is very much that sudden change. So there are sudden changes, or what we can call forced liberation, as part of this energy. And as long as we tune into our heart, Leo Regulus, we are growing. But as soon as we step out of our heart-centered way of being, it may be a change that we haven't really asked for. This is really important. This energy signature is asking us to stay centered within inner peace, stay grounded, but also not resist the changes that are occurring. And then I want to highlight this yod that we may have highlighted before in previous videos, because we have a yod between the galactic center and Uranus, Pleiades, Sedna there, and our asteroids now moving into Libra here, 29 degrees Hawaii in retrograde and Dejanira in 27 degrees of Libra. And this is also, and if you're not familiar with asteroid Hawaii or asteroid Dejanira, watch the previous 2 videos. I think we have talked about this cluster of, and we also have Haumea there as well. I didn't pull in Haumea here because she's still at 3 degrees of Scorpio. But it's this focus on bringing our Lemurian energy in and consider that as we move forward. That yod is a very directional energy to me. We are not to forget that divine feminine integration. And asteroid Hawaii is associated with Lemurian ancient civilization and Dejanira with victimhood. So this is also a yod that speaks to a shift in this energy. We have a yod here that builds between the new moon Chiron and also Lilith, true Lilith at 27 degrees of Scorpio, in opposition with Perseus Algol, and also Psyche at 27 degrees of Gemini conjunct Orion Scythe there at 26 degrees of Gemini. So this yod suggests also that this Aries new moon is part of a expansion, and we may need to use a little bit of our inner rebellion to move past limitations that we may perceive that we have, or that we have struggled with for a time, perhaps, to transmute lower frequencies, either within ourselves or in the environment that we're in. And this yacht is highly directional, in my opinion, because of the involvement here in this yacht of the Aries new moon and Chiron, particularly, and true Lilith in opposition with Perseus Algol in Taurus is also suggesting that it involves this shift from our mental domain, our ego death, to our heart frequency. And often psyche is also associated with our psychic abilities, but also here in conjunction with Orion Scythe, it also is our lower frequencies that we're dealing with, such as any limitations we put on ourselves, is preventing us from accessing higher messages simply. So if we are taking all of that together, I know it looks busy here. It builds a mystic rectangle here between the new moon Chiron and Psyche and Hawaii, Dejanira, and the Galactic Center. And there's so much more to unpack here in this image. So we're going to continue with that in the members only video, focusing on the entry of Uranus into Gemini, because that is the big shift here in this equation. But all of these components are making up the energy signature of this Aries new moon. And there's some significant guidance here within this mystic rectangle that I want to unpack some more for you. The focus on Pleiades as a star cluster at 0 degree of Gemini conjunct Sedna is a significant energy that Uranus is highlighting here in April 2026. And Pleiades is an evolved civilization that has gone through quantum leaps of consciousness expansion ahead of Earth. And many of us, as I've said in many other videos, have guides or soul incarnations associated with Pleiades that are now also coming into very much a highlight. So if you have a personal planet or an outer planet around 0 degrees, you likely also have a strong connection to the Pleiades star cluster at the soul level. And if you want to find out whether you have galactic connections to the star cluster of Pleiades or any of the fixed stars that are included here in the star cluster, schedule a reading with me. Here, I also want to give you an opportunity to tune into the very important asteroids that are giving us guidance here at this Aries new moon, Astraea, at 29 degrees of Aquarius. We have Psyche at 27 degrees of Gemini conjunct Orion Scythe. We have true Lilith at 27 degrees of Scorpio in opposition with Perseus Algol at 26 degrees of Taurus. All of these three archetypal energies are representing going beyond what we currently know as our comfort zone, our safety, our new boundaries to be established, but also connection with higher frequency messages. Psyche there really brings in the beauty of connection with universal wisdom. And Astraea is holding us accountable or responsible for living the higher values, holding us accountable to enter the frequencies of the Aquarian age. And here we have Sedna also in conjunction with the Pleiades. And I want to remind you, we have talked about Sedna before, but Sedna is really that ultimate awakener in a way that has to do with our multidimensional rebirth. Because if you can see, her orbit here is 11,400 years. And her orbit is like an egg shape. Right now, that Sedna is very close to our solar system here. So it's almost like Sedna is guiding us, like, you guys are next in terms of the consciousness evolution here. And Sedna is also linked into the moon and asteroid Ceres there. That has to do with the empathic body. And I often see Sedna as the ultimate connection with our inner abundance and inner child creative energy. And this is also what she is encouraging us to harness now and come forward and in the future. So the ultimate quantum leap here is linked into the liberation of the heart. And whatever that means to you is the right interpretation, because we're all on a different journey. And what that means, the liberation or freeing of our heart frequency and our greater sense of a connection to a bigger context, is what we're all working on in some way. And I invite you to contemplate your divine potential around this time, because it is a important energy to harness. So yes, this multidimensional rebirth energy signature is significant, and it may not come with all smooth sail, but we are equipped. All of us are equipped to go through the times we're in. We came here for a reason, and we are now ready to start tapping into that next level, whatever that means to you. And if you're curious about your own soul journey and tapping into the connections that you may have and may have felt and want validation for, this is the time to put that into action, because Mars has a very strong influence on how we are taking action forward so that we come closer to living our full potential. And through this Aries full moon, we're getting a lot of guidance of what that means, how that may look like through the astrology and how we describe it and how we tap into it. And if you're curious, join me on April 17th for a workshop, a live workshop on Zoom, or you can also access it afterwards through replay, where I share my own experience with a co-creation with our guides, councils, the universe in a multidimensional way. So that workshop is Friday, April 17th on the new moon here. So join me for that. I've left a link in the pinned comment and description box below. And if you feel called, schedule the limited time special reading I have this month that I've named almost the same as the workshop, Co-Creation with the Universe, where we take a look at Uranus influence on your birth chart and your personal energy. And we go on a little journey there to explore what that may mean for you. So I've also placed a link in the pinned comment and description box below for that limited time 30-minute reading with me. So let's work on the next questions that I want to share with you, because they are served to you for a reason as well at this time. The first question is, how can you connect with your full potential? And I know that's a big question, but now is the time to think beyond what you think is possible, because everything is possible. And as a follow-up question to that, how do you connect with your multidimensional soul journey? And this may be different for everyone. And all it takes is for you to be curious about what is beyond what you know about this life, first of all. So the curiosity, the innovation here that you may come across, this energy of, I'm a little curious and I want to know more, that is enough. And you will be guided to what to do next. The second question is, how can you lean into and focus on, prioritize more beauty and pleasure? And this is something we may not think of every day. Like, I really need to prioritize beauty. But this is to go outside our comfort zone a little bit, to say, okay, how can I really see beauty in my everyday life? That's a start. And here we're connecting with Hathor's guidance here, conjunct Mars. The third question, what is it in your life that is on the last straw? And here I'm thinking of the square between asteroid Astraea at 29 degrees of Aquarius and also Uranus at 29 degrees of Taurus now. Because that square is bringing us into a forced liberation, if you will, from something that we have been thinking about for a while that needs to either change, and it may change suddenly. this is something also that doesn't have to be like this big thing. It can be a small thing that makes the total difference. And the follow-up question to that is, what is your breakthrough around this time of this Aries new moon? Because there will be some sort of breakthrough for all of us. And we cannot kind of look around and see what breakthroughs others are having. It's an inner breakthrough that is some epiphany of some sort, or a breakthrough in something that we have been long known because our soul knows what our next step is. It's just our head needs to come around and accept it in a way. So this may be a very powerful time for each one of us. And I wish you a lot of harmony, peace, inner peace in this whirlwind of energy that we are in, with everything going on in Aries here now. And also, of course, that Uranus entry a few days after this new moon into Gemini. And I invite you to become a member of this channel's membership. You will be able to access members only video at the galaxy level. And I'm enjoying to go deeper with this mystic rectangle and all the things that are going on in this chart with you for that members only video. So yes, April 2026 may go down as a very intense month, but for the leap of faith and expansion of consciousness that we are now ready to step into further, because there is a sense of innovation and future energy as part of this Aries new moon, but it's also some sort of breakthrough expansion energy as well going with it. And it's beyond what any one of us have experienced before. Because with all this energy in Aries, we are bound to do things and experience things for the first time. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It is the new way of being and doing things. And with so many planets in Aries and highlighting, it's advisable to listen to the guidance that we're receiving now. Because as we move into the months of May, June, and July in particular, there is some peak energy that's coming in to play that we're going to, of course, talk about as we go. But it's a sense of significant breakthrough around this Aries energy, and particularly in the month of April here. All this energy is ultimately helping us to connect deeper with our true self and help us remove limitations that we're placing on ourselves so that we can live from a more pure heart, innocent energy. Because that's what's required when we live a multidimensional life, is that we can be a true vessel for spirit to come through us. That is of the energy of truth, more so than duality. Thank you very much for being here all the way to the end, listening, watching to New Light Living podcast. I'm Ulrika Sullivan. I'm an intuitive spiritual life coach and a galactic astrologer. Visit me on my website, ulrikasullivan.com. There you can find readings. You can find my shop with online offerings. You can learn a little bit more about me, and also you can join the membership from my website as well. And I am excited to get back to another video for you on May 1st, the full moon in Scorpio. Take care, and I hope to see you then. Bye.